following takes place between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. Events occur.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome. It's Friday. That's right. We're getting ready for Week 13 in the NFL. Actually, we got a little taste tonight, and it wasn't good if you're a Saints fan. We sit here and wonder every single day, or at least I do. The enigma that is Taysom Hill. I don't understand him. I don't get it. I don't see the appeal. I understand that he's capable of making some really good plays, but I wonder what he has on Saints ownership to have finagled a couple pretty nice contracts out of them and have been given this um, title of I don't know, talented football. I don't get it, John. I don't get it. 4 interceptions yesterday, and some of them were really, really bad.
So last night he threw 4 interceptions, like you said, Ian. My man Aaron Rodgers has thrown 4 interceptions the entire year. So I beat you to the punch, mentioning my favorite quarterback before you got to mention your favorite quarterback. But as far as Taysom Hill, oh my Lord, exactly. Does he have pictures of Sean Payton or Mickey Loomis or someone that really would be troubling? Because he's already been guaranteed in his career $50 million with a chance to earn another $50 million. That's more than Alvin Kamara has made so far in his career. And that guy is arguably the best running back in football, all-around running back, right? And if I'm Alvin Kamara, I'm like, what has this dude done that earns him that type of money? And why am I always having to fight for my contract? And that's not good for a team. He's not a quarterback. He's a nice weapon to have, right? Because, he's 6'2", 230, runs tough. I give him all the credit in the world for that stuff. He ain't a quarterback. He's another player, another position.
He's Tim Tebow.
Yeah,
he has a. I'll give him credit. Right. He's a better thrower than Tim Tebow. I mean, Tim Tebow was obviously just an awful quarterback, like an actual thrower.
I think football better than
I'm 50-50 shot to throw my shoulder out every time I throw the football.
Right.
So yeah,
I can't see where I'm throwing it.
Yeah, so maybe combined, the two of us. We'd be all right.
Okay.
We'd be Tim Tebow. But no, look, I'll give Taysom Hill a little bit more credit than Tim Tebow. But again, it's the same type of player. He is a gadget type player that you bring in. Like, let's just put it this way: he's a lesser version of Cordero Patterson.
Exactly.
I mean, like if you're going to ask me which one am I going to, I'd rather have Cordero. By far, because he's a bad. But so again, I don't get the appeal with Taysom Hill. I don't understand just the obsession they have. I get that he's, like I said before, he's capable of making plays. But how often?
Right.
How often do you see a Taysom Hill highlight play? Again, yesterday was bad, and I think a lot of us feel like this New Orleans Saints team. They're obviously they've lost 5 in a row, but give credit where credit's due. I think we all kind of made our Jameis Winston jokes, but he was clearly the only capable quarterback on this offense. They've been dealing with injuries all season. Now, again, they've been without Alvin Kamara for several weeks, but their play dipped and their ability to win games dipped when they started turning to incompetent quarterbacks. And look, Jameis Winston is not the best quarterback in the league. He's just a fairly talented, competent quarterback who, again, the spectrum when it comes to criticizing and praising him is all over the place. But I think it's pretty clear that the Saints were a better team with him. And we've seen Trevor Siemian and now Taysom Hill take the reins, and it's just been ugly.
5-2 with Jameis, 0-5 without Jameis. Now they've had other injuries, obviously.
Oh, sure,
when you player of Alvin Kamara's ability, that's going to really derail a team. He's a fantastic player. So I'm not saying that they'd be 10-2 if Jameis Winston was playing, but they still have a pretty good defense. Their tackles were out. That was just not a real interesting game. Dallas still wants to throw up all over itself. They were nothing great last night. They just happen to be better than New Orleans. And Sean Payton, who's not one of my favorite coaches, I think he's a fantastic coach, but he is really full of himself. He has to always prove that he's the smartest guy in the building, and we continue to see this with Taysom Hill. at some point, someone in that organization, whether it's the general manager, Mickey Loomis, or ownership, is going to say, what is your infatuation with this guy? And you go from here. Now, do they try to rehab Jameis and get him back for next year? Or are they one of the teams that are going to look for one of the veteran quarterbacks that might be available, like, say, Russell Wilson? I think Wilson's going to be on the move after this year. Does he go to the Giants? Does he go to New Orleans? Where exactly does he end up?
Think about how ridiculous this is, and I've said this before. Now, again, I have my my qualms about Drew Brees and everything like that, and I don't think as highly of him as some people do, and that's hey, it is what it is. That's not what we're here to discuss. But how often did you see them take the ball out of his hands to put it into Taysom Hill's hands?
Right.
And how often did you see it? And it was it's just a head scratch. It's like, wait, what are you doing? You're moving the ball. You're driving the ball. All of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute. That's not one short white quarterback. That's another short white quarterback. That's Taysom Hill. That's not Drew Brees. And like I'm
Right.
sitting here thinking, like, what are you doing? Now, I would again, that kind of again, you can kind of say, all right, maybe Drew Brees had limitations in his last few years. That's fine. I understand that, but you don't. When you have a Hall of Fame quarterback, when you have a quarterback of his caliber,
You caught yourself, didn't you?
yeah, yeah. If you don't look, again, I got into a little my words maybe I didn't mean exactly. Let's just put let me go back to that real quick and just say I don't necessarily believe he's not a Hall of Famer. I'm just saying that if I was grading harshly, I could make a case.
Yes.
I could
There's a
make case.
discussion, right?
There's a
And that's all we
discussion.
ever want
There's
in
a
this business.
discussion.
That's why
There's a discussion.
That's why when I put out there that I think LeBron James is the greatest basketball player ever, I want a discussion. I'm not saying slam dunk. In my opinion, it's slam dunk. It's when people push back and go, "Oh no, you're crazy." There's no discussion.
Well, you are
Yes, there's a
crazy,
discussion.
John. Just
Well, we
just
know
not.
that. I mean, I've got documentation on that too, so that's
Yeah.
good.
Good.
I'm
I'm
not
gonna
going to,
I'm
but I
gonna
know
need
what
to
you mean.
see
as
that
far as-
documentation.
Well, I'll send it to you as my employer. I may have to do that. As my employer, you need to have that information.
I'd actually, you know what? I'd rather kind of just play it by ear and just kind of play it. If it happens, it happens. I like surprises sometimes.
Exactly. I'll
It's
send
good
it to you.
radio. It's good radio.
Exactly. Yeah. Here he is. He really is insane.
Yeah.
But no, your point's well taken. I mean, why take the ball out of Drew Brees' hands? It's almost like if Tampa Bay's down inside the 10, let Tom Brady be the deciding factor. And
Yeah.
Like the end zone, or if the Packers are inside the 10, let them decide. Now, oftentimes they'll just check down and we'll run, and you know what? It worked. Look at that drive Brady authored last Sunday. Tie game, and he saw the defense that they were just essentially giving him the running game.
But
so
the
he took it.
but the ball's still in his
decision,
hands.
'cause
Exactly.
Still in his hands. He's the point guard at
Yeah.
that point. Let that guy make the decision to decide who's going to win the game. Because why would you leave the field going, why the hell did we take the ball out of Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady's? We put him into Taysom Hill's hands, and he threw yet another interception, or just fell short of the goal line.
Yeah, I just I don't get it. I mean, I think it'd be fine if he was paid relative to what he does, which again, if he's being played like paid like a number 40 to 50 player on this roster, that's fine because that's about the range that he's in. When it comes to making plays and all that, but they want to make him into this quarterback, and he's not really a quarterback. I mean, for all the slack that Lamar Jackson gets for not being able to throw the ball well, I mean, Taysom Hill should be getting just as much because, if anything, he's a runner. He's a gadget player. He's not a quarterback.
Oh, good. And I trust Lamar way more than
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I think Lamar has limitations throwing the ball. That doesn't mean that I'm going to go as far as saying, insulting he's a running back. No, he's a really good running quarterback who, again, he has limitations. But I'm not sitting here claiming he's the best quarterback in the league. So, of course, he's going to have limitations. But Taysom Hill's worse. I mean, again, it's I don't know. It's ugly. And I don't necessarily feel bad for Saints fans, but this is definitely a season in which you see how important a really good quarterback is, because this is a team that has certainly lost multiple games because they just didn't have that competent quarterback. So, all right. So since we are pretty shorthanded, we do need to do our picks. Real quick, obviously the news yesterday, Antonio Brown's, Mike Edwards, and Franklin is the third. I want to say his first name's John. He's a free agent wide receiver. I spent some time with the Bucks earlier, but obviously just a kind of a journeyman guy. All three of them got suspended 3 games for misrepresenting their vaccination status. Now, I want to make a very clear point, very clear. They definitely deserve this, and I agree with the suspension.
Mhm.
And I would, if I were the Buccaneers, I would seriously consider what the future holds with this team and Antonio Brown, because again, now you're sitting here. Okay, we've I've defended Antonio, not his actions, but I've defended him in the sense that I think he's not the only person in this league that has had transgressions that continues to be on the football field. I think he unfairly gets attacked because of A, his time with the Patriots, and B, obviously now being with the Bucks and everything like that. It's a natural lightning rod to be around Tom Brady and everything like that. He deserves to be suspended. All three of them deserve to be suspended. And there is a difference. I'm not going to say a big difference. There is a difference between what he and Aaron Rodgers did.
Mhm.
However, however, I still believe Aaron Rodgers should have been suspended, and I don't think the difference between what both of these people did was any different. I know people are like, "Oh, well, the NFL knew and his teammates knew." Well, that's great. Still, broke protocols and did interviews without masks, all that stuff.
Mhm.
And other teams didn't know. You know what I mean? Like, I get that his teammates may have known, and maybe his team, the management may have known, but other teams didn't. Other players didn't know, and that's the same thing with Antonio Brown. So again, I think Antonio Brown deserves to be punished. He's getting punished. We can argue about the number of games relative to some of the other suspensions that have been handed down in the NFL, but you and I both know that the NFL has no idea, no consistency
No,
when it comes to
no,
fining or suspending or punishing players. So I just chalk this up as another just kind of pulling a random number out of the hat and not really looking at anything because
yeah, there's no template there for
yeah,
the NFL.
there's
It's not
not.
like key
Well,
games
it's
for
not
this, key
not
games
that
for
they would
that.
follow it anyways. I mean,
No,
I mean technically they do have
they'll
it. I mean, John, here's the template. Uh, the most fine you can get for tampering with a football is like $25,000. Trust me, they
right.
ignored that template
Oh yeah, no,
when it
they
comes to Deflategate. But
would pass that one. But
no,
as far as the comparison, the only difference being that Antonio Brown committed a federal crime.
Mhm.
But again, 3 games seems about right. Again, he does have a lot of priors. He had him with Pittsburgh. He had
Mhm.
him with the Raiders. He had him with the Patriots. Not really a prior with the Patriots, but while he was here, there was some crazy things going on that were being unearthed at that time. And then, of course, in Tampa Bay. So he's had a lot of transgressions. So I get that. I thought Roger should have been suspended. And again, I'm his, East Coast supervisor or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call him. I don't want to see president of the fan club. I
No,
don't
I
want
was gonna
to
say you're his PR guy.
part of the.
You're his
I'm
PR
his
guy.
East Coast PR guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, and he did technically get suspended because he missed the game. Maybe he should have missed one more game after that.
Well,
I wouldn't have had a
it
major problem with that
wasn't
either.
he wasn't punished. He missed the game because that's what the protocols called
Right, the
for. So
protocol.
yeah, I
Right.
mean the
Yeah.
punishment was nothing. So I do think there is a double standard there. I do think there is a difference though. I just don't think it's as pronounced as some people have said because I have seen some people come out and really carry the torch. And surprisingly, I know it wasn't you because when
No, I'm
that
not
news
that
came,
guy. No.
yeah, well when that news came out, I mean you were obviously right there
I'm
with
pissed.
me thinking he should have been suspended, but like
I was disappointed. I was
yeah,
disappointed in him because I think of him as someone who's a pretty smart guy
yeah.
who has not been afraid to weigh into like social issues. He
Mhm.
hasn't. He's been one of the few NFL stars that's not afraid to speak up. I mean, hell, he was a Bernie Sanders supporter.
Yeah.
I don't know many quarterbacks there were or football players there were, but I mean, that's one of the reasons I like him. And he just went off the rails with that. And it's also, I just wanted to see him and Mahomes play that Sunday
Yeah.
as a football
Yeah,
fan.
that
And
was
the
disappointing.
second time now, we haven't been able to see them head to head. Because
Well,
Mahomes was
that
hurt.
well,
In
that
19,
might
and Rodgers was
that
in
might have saved
quarantine this
that
time
might have
around.
saved Mahomes' season though.
It may
Like,
have.
I mean, think
We
about
both
it.
agree Green Bay beats them.
Oh,
I mean,
easy,
I
yeah,
with
yeah.
Rodgers, I think it's a 24 to 13 game, whatever it was. I think Green Bay would have won because he was just trying to cook. Yeah, so I think we can agree on that. But it's just Antonio Brown. Now you brought up what the Bucs are going to do with Antonio Brown. I think they'll bring him back for the rest of this year after
Oh
the
yeah,
3
no,
games.
no,
And
of
then
course, of
probably
course.
cut ties after that because the last thing you want to do is piss off the quarterback because he's a supporter of Antonio Brown.
Well, even
And I think he's done as much work as he can to try to get him, focused on football because the guy's a marvelous football player, not the best human being, perhaps, or we can agree on that. But I think you don't want to piss off Brady and just cut him after this.
No, and look, I mean, I think we both admit too that the relationship between he and Brady is far more complicated and deeper than I think any of us understand. So I don't think
Sure.
it's as simple as yeah, I can't imagine that Brady is happy at all with his
No,
actions
no,
at all.
no.
And that's but that's not to say again, I mean, you don't know what I think again we all assume that there's some deep relationship between these two. It's just there's something that we can't explain that we don't know, which is normal. I mean, we don't know the inner workings of everyone's personal relationships, even though we think we do because they're a public figure. We really don't. So, but I can't imagine that he's happy with this. I don't know if they've clarified whether or not he's vaccinated now.
I'm hearing he is.
Yeah,
That's what
because
I've heard through some reports. He is vaccinated now.
and to not soften the blow, but had he again to get into whatever it was, training camp or whatnot, had to provide a vaccination card and then eventually got vaccinated before the season, that's one thing. You know what I mean? Because you think about when because remember he caught COVID and missed week 3. Well, he
Hmm.
played 8 days later against the Patriots. Now, if he was unvaccinated, he has to
Right.
miss a mandatory of 10 days. So, I'm my guess is now again, this is just based on the information we know, and maybe there's been something else that's come out that I missed, but my guess is he was unvaccinated when he arrived and got signed, tried to provide that excuse me, that, that card, and then eventually got vaccinated. And so, everyone's calling back to Bruce Arians' comment about the team being 100% vaccinated. And maybe that was true. I mean, maybe that was true. That doesn't change his actions and how wrong they were and everything like that. But
Maybe
like,
that card was accepted at first by the NFL, so he was deemed vaccinated so that he could come back in 8 days rather than 10 days after
well, I'm
contacting.
saying,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
think, yeah, I think so. But I think that the card, like the validity of the card was an issue in training camp and not during the season. Because I can't
Gotcha.
imagine, even as inconsistent as the NFL is, I can't imagine that they would, if he were to deliberately try to circumvent in the season, kind of the way that you described, I feel like the NFL would have come down a lot harder. You know what I mean? So something
Right. I see
tells
what
me
you're saying.
that
Yeah.
he did this in the off season. Eventually, he
Hmm.
did get vaccinated because if I remember correctly, too, I remember seeing him like with his kids getting the shot, like actually, in
Okay.
you know what I mean. So like me, I'm like, okay, eventually he probably I mean, I would have had to assume that he got the shot if he was with his kids, you know what I mean? So, like,
Hmm.
part of me is thinking, "Okay, maybe that," but that, again, doesn't it isn't meant to soften the blow, just kinda trying to figure out as much information as possible. Bottom line, deserves to be suspended. Good thing for the Bucks, he was gonna miss the next 2 games anyway, so, he'll be eligible to come back for the final 3 weeks of the season, and that's a pair of games against, the Panthers and, some other team. I don't remember off the top of
Only
my head.
only Antonio Brown could get suspended for 3 games because of the vaccination, which he got.
Yeah.
Right. So like that's something that only someone like Antonio Brown could pull off.
Yeah.
That's like
It's
that's
impressive.
pretty amazing.
It's
That's
im
that's
it's
like that is it's like saying you I got put away for 2 years for tax evasion, but I paid my taxes.
yeah.
Like what? It's like it's it's like well that's
Hey,
pretty good.
the lesson here seems to be, Antonio, pay your bills, man, because everything
Pay the
seems
chef
to
the
yeah.
$10,000 so they don't rat you out.
Yeah, I
Like,
was gonna say
and
it's
if you're a chef, get the money up front
yeah, I
for
was gonna say,
Antonio.
yeah,
No,
this
really, I
is
mean,
this is like
get
Al
a
Bundy,
retainer.
do not accept checks from this man, this type of thing,
Yeah, it's
that's
like
where we're at right now.
get a
Um,
retainer to be
ex
Antonio
ex
Brown. Oh
exactly.
man,
So, hey, we're gonna have to set a record here, John.
we
Uh,
will. I'll
we're
be
we're gonna set a record here. We have our picks. We're gonna have to do. We're crunched for time here, but we're usually pretty good. And maybe the less we have to think about these, the better. Um,
absolutely.
so yeah, let's just jump right into it. Obviously, this is Week 13. The Patriots Monday Night Football with the Bills. That's going to be a smashing good time. I would hope so. But we're not talking about them. We're talking about Sunday, December the 5th, and first game on the list is a get right game for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers as they travel to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. And I think this is fairly easy. I think Tampa rolls, and I think the offense looks like the offense that we saw a few weeks ago when they were really racking up the points. So give me Tampa.
I think Tampa's going to win, but I think it could be a little bit closer than that. But Tampa will win the game. I can't see them being upset even in Atlanta.
I think we're finally going to see Kyler Murray. I believe he still exists. He's starting to become almost like a mythical creature to me because I feel like we haven't seen him in 6 months. But it looks like we're going to get Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, and the whole crew of the Cardinals to take on Chicago. And I think Arizona, I just have no reason to doubt Arizona at this point. So give me the Cardinals on the road against Chicago.
One of my two huge upsets, Bears win outright at home.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Hey, I wouldn't be surprised because again, we have not seen Kyler Murray and maybe he comes back a little bit rusty. So next, very intriguing matchup with two very exciting young quarterbacks. You got Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals taking on your guy, Justin Herbert, and the Los Angeles Chargers. This is a tough game to choose. I'm going to go with the home team on this one. I just, when all's said and done, I'll give the edge to Joe Burrow and the team at home. So give me the Bengals.
This could be a natural rivalry going for the next 10 years, right? Two great young quarterbacks in the AFC. Maybe they play each other every other year or every year if they end up in the same spot in the division. I'm going to go with the Chargers only because the Bengals, after they win a big game against Pittsburgh or Baltimore, they usually lay an egg the next week. So they beat Pittsburgh handily last week, so I think they'll be a little flat. On Sunday, I'll take the Chargers.
Next, we got the Vikings at the Lions, battle of the NFC North. I got the Vikings, and for obvious reasons, because Detroit hasn't won a game, and it's not going to happen this week.
Upset number 2.
Oh, no.
The Lions pull off the upset. Lions and Bears both win on the same Sunday. How's that?
Oh, man, that's crazy. I think you might be a little did you say you were a little crazy earlier? I think this confirms it. Next, we have the Giants heading down to Miami to take on the Dolphins. I like the Dolphins here. I think they're obviously been playing a little bit better football. I still think they're a far ways away, but at least they're not the Giants. So give me the Dolphins at home for this one.
Me too. Yeah, I like the Dolphins. They've quietly won 4 in a row.
Yeah. No, well, I give credit where credit's due. They are winning, but this kind of seems to be the Dolphins' MO. They stumble out of the start, kind of when all the pressure's on. Then when no one's looking, they win some games and put it together. So I don't know. It's impressive, but I don't know how impressive it is if this is what you're going to keep doing. Next, speaking of not impressive, the Eagles were very disappointing last week based on what I thought they were going to do. However, they get a nice landing spot heading to New Jersey to take on the New York Jets. Give me the Eagles in this one.
Yeah, I like the Eagles. The Jets won their game for the month last week.
AFC South, you got the Houston Texans. Tyrod Taylor's playing some pretty good football. Indianapolis, kind of the in team last week. Can't fault them for losing against Tampa, but this is a pretty big game for them if they want to stay in this AFC playoff race. And I think Houston is actually playing some pretty good football. This is my upset of the week. I got Houston winning this game. Brandon Cooks and Tyrod Taylor are going to eat it up.
Yeah, Taylor's such an easy guy to root for, isn't he? I mean, he's not a real big guy. He doesn't have best tools, but he has all those intangibles with like the quarterback leadership, toughness. But I'm still going to go with the Colts. They're just a better team.
Yep. Next we have the Washington football team heading to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. First of our 4:00 games. I like the Raiders at home. Again, this is kind of it's hard to pick between the two. But give me the home team in this one. The Raiders win.
I'm going to go with Washington. Big revenge game for Washington defensive coordinator. Well, Washington defensive coordinator, say that 3 times. Jack Del Rio. He was the head coach with Vegas. Had a 12-4.
Oh, I think I lost John here. Hold on a second. We'll get him back right away. I accidentally hung up on him. All right, John. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I think I hung up on you.
That's okay. I mentioned Jack Del Rio and you hung up on me. I think it's a revenge game for Jack Del Rio, the defensive coordinator of Washington, and Washington goes in and beats the Raiders. This is one of those games that I could spend an hour and a half analyzing and still not know who I think is going to win.
Yeah, I mean, it is. That's what I'm saying. That's why eventually, I just kind of lean towards the home team in this one. But Joel's with you. He's our friend Joel Shapiro. He's taking our football team, or your football team, instead. Yes. Next, we have the Rams looking to get out of their funk. And good for them. They get to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. I would love to pick the Jags in this one because I don't think the Rams are really that good of a team. I think we're seeing them kind of implode in front of our eyes. this might give a little bit of fool's gold to some of the national media when they see the Rams win this game.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, this is just Los Angeles beating up on a Jacksonville team, and I don't think it's going to tell us anything about them. But they do win.
Yeah, they win, and it's gonna be like 38-10, and everybody on Monday's gonna say, "Look, this team is awesome, aren't they
Yeah.
incredible?" Well, they couldn't beat any team for 3
Well,
weeks, and
Matt,
look bad
Matt
doing it.
Stafford is 9 and like 50 something against teams with winning record. Like
Right.
I think we
This
know
is
who
perfect.
I think I know and we know who Matt Stafford is, and it's not
Yep.
all just about the Lions.
No.
Next, Pittsburgh hosting Baltimore. Once upon a time, this was must-watch TV. This might be must not watch TV if Roethlisberger is going to look like he has in the last couple weeks. Um, it's still kind of a tough game to pick though, because like I think Baltimore's good until I don't. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, you
Mhm.
know what? I think Baltimore's pretty good, and then they don't play really well at all. So I'd like to pick Pittsburgh. It would help the Patriots. However, I'm going to take Baltimore in this one.
I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh. At home, they were embarrassed by Cincinnati last week. You know how it is in the NFL. You look god awful one week, you have a game where you look pretty darn good. I think Pittsburgh is still proud enough to step up big time. I think Mike Tomlin will have that team motivated. I'll take Pittsburgh, and what is a slight upset, even though they're at home against Baltimore.
And hey, just like this last one, same thing. Once upon a time, this was a matchup you could not miss. Although I do think this game is going to be fairly entertaining. I just think this is going to be a pretty cut and dry win for San Francisco. Because I just don't think Seattle's any good.
Doesn't Seattle look like a team that's just thrown in the towel already? The head
Oh,
coach
yeah.
and quarterback, both, not just the whole team. I mean, the quarterback just looks so disinterested and not himself, and Pete Carroll continues to chew gum on the sideline. Yeah, San Francisco's playing really well right now. They could be a team that sneaks into the playoffs at 10-7 and really causes a problem.
Was that defense? And look, I mean, criticize Jimmy all you want, but when he's playing good football, he doesn't have to be great. But when he's playing good football, the 49ers win a lot of games.
Yeah.
So, last but not least, what could have been a pretty decent matchup earlier in the season, I think might be a mismatch. Although, again, I still have my reservations about the Chiefs, and this isn't necessarily going to change them because, we've seen enough hot and cold from the Chiefs to still sit there and say, okay, I'm still a little worried about them, but I do think they take care of business Sunday Night Football against Denver. I don't even know who Broncos quarterback is going to be. Is it going to be Drew Lock? Is it going to be who knows? I mean, so in that case, give me the Chiefs. Maybe it's a little bit lower scoring than we anticipate, but I do think
I like the Chiefs. Yeah, the Broncos are a quarterback away from being a contending team.
they've been
So
like that
maybe
for 25 years.
it has been, other than Peyton Manning for 3-4 years, it's been that way since Mr. Elway retired in 1998. So yeah, it's pretty much been it. So I'll take Kansas City here, and also you get Andy Reid off a bye week. He's lethal off a bye week, especially except in last year's Super Bowl.
Yes, except for last year's Super Bowl. I like that, John. And we're going to end on that note because, hey, why not? And plus, we've gone 28 minutes and 30 seconds, which in a way that goes 28 to 3, and I like that.
Ooh,
Yes, that's right. So we're going to say
You're
goodbye.
good,
We're going to tell you to have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.